Brian Kohberger and his team have filed a motion to dismiss the grand jury indictment, and it's based around two main arguments. First, the prosecutor instructed the grand jury on the wrong burden of proof for a grand jury, and second, that this should be considered a presentment, not an indictment. So issue one is that they presented probable cause as the burden of proof to the grand jury, and Kohberger's team argues that that is in fact incorrect, and instead it should be beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, if you're wondering where the prosecutors got probable cause, it is from the law in Idaho in their code that says probable cause is the burden of proof in a grand jury proceeding. But Kohberger's team goes back to Old English law and argues that under the original statutes, this should be the same burden of proof that is given to a criminal trial jury, which in fact would be beyond a reasonable doubt. He makes some arguments that are interesting, and I would say new arguments that haven't been made in quite some time, but ultimately arguments I think will fail. The second issue, which is that this is a presentment and not an indictment, is a bit of a semantics argument. Calling something that some people think are the same thing two different names can be confusing in the law, and usually we like to clear that up. But Kohberger argues that a presentment would then create a situation where the case would go before a magistrate and a preliminary hearing would happen. Therefore, because they gave the lower burden of proof of probable cause and not beyond a reasonable doubt, this is a presentment and not an indictment, and therefore the next step should be a preliminary hearing before a magistrate, which would continue out the speedy trial window for Kohberger to prepare and try this case. I don't think either of these are going to be successful, but let me know what you think in the comments.